citynewsroom.com, which says, stay focused and support Bawumia to win December polls. Gabi to Napo. So Gabi Ochredakun, a stalwart of the New Patriotic Party, has encouraged Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, also known as Napo, to support the flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to win the upcoming December elections. You know, they officially announced him as running mate on Thursday, and he was congratulating Napo. So he's advising him to remain focused.
I mean, Gabi is a stalwart of the NPP party. I mean, knows the in and out of the party. He's been around for some time. Definitely knows a thing or two about winning elections. So I think this advice is coming in quite timely, especially considering the kind of, I mean, uproar to some extent that met the nomination of Napo. I mean, those who love him probably willing to lie on the floor for him. Those who are not too sure about him are also all over the place. So, I mean, not too surprising that Gabi, with all of his experience, especially within the NPP tradition, coming out with this advice at this time. I mean, it will be interesting how this pans out in the coming few months as we head into the December election. But hey, I mean, it's really going to be an exciting and depending on where you stand, nervy as well. Exactly.
It'll be an interesting election.
A lot more at stake. But while we are at it, I mean, still on citynewsroom.com, yesterday on the Big Issue show, we had a member of the New Patriotic Party's legal team join the panel, referring to Kinsley Amoab. He was on the show and also had some thoughts about the nomination of Napo as running mate to Dr. Bawumia. And he, in his words, he says Napo is amiable and not arrogant. Excerpts of the story reads that Kinsley Amoab, member of the New Patriotic Party's legal team, has offered a fresh perspective on Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, better known as Napo. He has characterized Napo as amiable, challenging the prevailing perception of him as arrogant, who we were talking about not too long ago. The story goes on to say Napo, who has been confirmed as the running mate of MPP flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has often been at the center of public attention. His public comments have led many to label him as arrogant. However, speaking on the Big Issue on ChannelOne TV, Amoab refuted these claims and provided insights into Napo's true character. The story goes on to say he highlighted that Napo is not only approachable, but friendly and also deeply passionate about his work. And I mean, you know, this has come time and time again, right? So those who have worked closely with Napo will tell you that the kind of public sentiment really about his personality.
Something different. See, like when he's communicating, maybe they need to work on his communication because you're energy minister. We're facing an energy crisis. We're telling you about it, and your response is, I don't feel it. So you who feels it, go bring your own time. So I mean, what is that supposed to mean?
I don't think he used the word he doesn't feel it. But
but that's what I took from it. That since he doesn't, you know, feel or get lights out wherever he is, so we, those who are feeling it.
I mean, it took my mind back to the political historian Salom interviewed on Eyewitness News. I think on the Thursday he was confirmed. And it was interesting because his remark was that don't allow Napo out without a script. Just don't let him speak without a script. Exactly. And that was quite profound and interesting to hear the political scientists say because, I mean, of course, we all know some of the comments that people have described as arrogant or quite self-centered for some. But the thing about strong personalities, right, or strong, Obama, the last time I was in Ghana, had a whole thing about building strong institutions and not necessarily strong man. With the kind of politics we do here, you want to characterize Napo as a strong person, right, as a strong man. And for people like that, they are equally loved as much as they are disliked. Exactly. And you have following who probably lie on the ground for him, right? And you have people who just can't stand him. I think the big test for him now is how to win over people who are not too sure about him.
Okay, so ChannelOneNews.com says unified regulations essential for cross-border mobile money integration. That's according to the BOG governor. A bit of that says Dr. Ernest Addison has acknowledged the critical role of a harmonized regulatory framework and strategic partnerships among digital space players in achieving broad financial sector inclusion and enhancing intra-African trade. Speaking at the Continental Mobile Interoperability Symposium by the Africa Prosperity Network in Accra, Dr. Addison stressed that a unified approach to regulations across African nations would ensure seamless integration of financial services, fostering trust and reliability in cross-border transactions. Let me say that he also added that in strong public-private partnerships involving mobile network operators, financial institutions, fintechs, and regulators would access technical challenges and ensure regulatory compliance. This is the future.
I mean, regulation is everything, right? If you have a system or a society where regulation doesn't work, then you know you're heading towards anarchy, right? Or a complete breakdown of law and order. And it's coming at a time where the governor himself has been under immense pressure. You'd recall Mahama Ayariga pledging to stage another Occupy BOG protest again.
Wait to see that.
But I mean, it's great. I mean, the whole idea of an Africa Prosperity Network bring people who have wealth of experience, who've been there, done that, and know a thing about making sure that economies like ours are stabilized and are working. I think it's a great initiative.
And trust me, the vice president is the future.
Right. I mean, the vice president was there, and he made a really interesting comment. He says, let's put away the whole idea of a unified currency and let's try and put something of the mobile money system where it cuts across economies within the African region. And I think that's something that we need to pay attention to, try and get experts to, I mean, judge on how this can be done so we could get a better way out of the kind of mess we find ourselves in as a country.
Still on ChannelOne News, SNIT transitions from real estate to fixed income focused portfolio. So the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, the largest institutional investor in the economy, has announced a transition to a fixed income-focused portfolio. SNIT's portfolio totals 16.7 billion Ghana cedis, with 49.3% in equities, 34% in alternative investment, and only 16.7% in fixed income. However, SNIT plans to significantly rebalance its portfolio in the near term, more than doubling its fixed income allocation to 48.8% and sustainability reducing its equity. So while the Director General, Kofi Bosompem-Osafo-Maafo, was briefing media, he explained the Trust's new strategy, and the plan is to reduce our real estate, he says, and equity investments, reallocating to fixed income, which offers greater stability. He says this will better align us with our long-term objectives. And he's also adding that as the strategy unfolds, SNIT aims to further increase its fixed income allocation to 60% in the long term, while reducing equities to 26% and maintaining alternative investments at 14%.
SNITs have to be seen to be doing the right things, right? So
they've been under fire.
After everything that's happened quite recently,
Yeah.
they have to be seen to be doing the right. So I like conversations like this. At least it shows what they've been up to.
I don't know if you remember, there was a story that came about like 2 or 3 weeks ago where it stated that in a couple of years, people who retire will not get their money. So I don't know, maybe this is in a good direction.
They should come again. But on the publisher, My Publisher 24 news website, CDD are up and they are speaking. At a stakeholder event, CDD called on politicians to stop vote buying. And it's interesting because the story came along with a photograph of, you can say, the 4 leading candidates going into the 2020 election. You can guess them right. John Dramani Mahama, former president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, current vice president, MPP flag bearer, Alan Kojo Tremantin, leader of the ARC and Movement for Change, and of course, you can say the street's favorites or the people's favorites, getting there or almost there. Cheddar is also in there as well. The story says participants at a day's stakeholder engagement to solicit inputs on electoral reforms have called on politicians to stop enticing Ghanaians with monies during elections. Voting is central to democracy and development and must be achieved on issue-based campaign messages rather than politicians trying to buy the conscience of the people with money's clothes and television sets, blenders, fridges, among other items. There must be a cap on how much a party or individual could spend on campaign. The story goes on to say others also spoke strongly against voter suppression. The EC publishing late on their website constituency results rather than polling station results, long days of electoral dispute adjudication, and the lack of efforts on the part of political parties to give more women a chance to achieve the dictates of affirmative action. The story goes on to say Mr. Alfred Jima from the Conversation International said Ghana must begin shifting from biometric to real electronic voting, declare national holiday on the day of voting to ensure that many take part in the process while deliberate on efforts to put in place a more inclusive initiative for women in the political space. I mean, CDD couldn't have hit it right on its head or couldn't have got it right. And I mean, they some time ago came up with a study that revealed that to win an election in Ghana, right from the primaries all the way to the national election as an MP, and he's not even a presidential candidate, you need in excess of about $2 million, and that was, or 2 million cedis, I believe, and that was quite ridiculous because the question is, if you have 2 million cedis,
so many times.
If you have 2 million cedis to spare, why would you use it to serve? For want of a better word.
Then what is in Parliament?
Exactly.
Everybody wants to go there.
Reiterating the question by the Speaker when he met with the Asante.
Yes. What is in Parliament that somebody will spend?
You have to go there to go. You have to go there and go and see for ourselves.
Yes, we need to start meeting our constituents and start the ground.
It's incredible because right from the primaries, right? I mean, you see politicians go every length, every breath to ensure that.
You remember the pictures that came up from ND?
Yeah, I mean,
the TVs branded with the
Tell me more.
Candidates'
money
pictures.
Stashed in car boots, incredible stuff, and you see people coming to vote. And after voting, they are holding TV sets, electronic fans, some of them holding air conditioners. And
So again, is it democracy
what
or is in Parliament that people will
unbelievable.
spend so much just to make sure that they are elected?
But they say power is sweet.
Power is sweet.
Have you tasted it before?
Not really. All right, let's move on to some other stories. Mahama is speaking, and he says that he will fix the economic mess created by Nana Addo. John Mahama has emphasized the need to prevent Ghanaians from replicating recent disturbances in Kenya. For the past few days, Kenyans have embarked on decentralized mass protest against tax hikes and a subsequent demand for the resignation of their president, William Ruto. While criticizing the Akufo-Addo-led administration's perceived mismanagement of the economy, John Mahama said the next NDC administration will create numerous opportunities, especially for the teeming youth population. Speaking during a working visit to the Ladadekotopong constituency on July 5, Mahama stated, "They say Africa's population is youthful and it is important to have a youthful population. But if you have a youthful population and you're not creating opportunities for them, then it can become a time bomb."
I mean, rightly so, and I've heard a lot of other people, prominent politicians, also reiterate same. So you have, for instance, MP for Ifuto and Majority Leader, Alexander Penyomakin also say same on the floor of Parliament. You've had Ablakwa, MP for Norton, in the Volta region, also say same. I mean, it's about time politicians took the electorate a bit serious. If you look at some of the things that the Kenyans were out on the streets protesting for, you could argue that, taxes on bread, sugar, and stuff like that. You could argue that even worse persists in some cases here. Of course, you have to appreciate the background or where we've come from as a people, right? Some of these things were quite rife in the 70s through to the 80s, right? And we've enjoyed a stable kind of democracy now. But the point is that if you look at the kind of leadership after 30 years of democracy, has it served us well as a people? And if you ask Colonel Festus Abuaje, who is a retired military officer, his answer will be a simple no, because if you look at, like we were discussing not too long ago,
a simple question. How old is Ghana?
I mean,
How old is Ghana?
yeah.
But then when you say that, then people will start, oh, but America took a long time. But we're not America. We're going at our own pace. But it seems we're not making any progress. If I speak to my mom and her generation, it seems Ghana has retrogressed.
I think we've made progress, but we've not made enough. We've not made enough progress as we would have expected. We've come from a long way. We've got to admit the kind of past we've had. We are better, of course, than if you want to compare some of the neighboring countries there. If for nothing at all, we've enjoyed some stable democracy. We have certain basic things working for us as a people. But of course, that can't, or the countries surrounding us can't or shouldn't be the set standard, right? So of course, calls about our leaders doing more to improve the lives of citizens really is something that we should be looking at. You take it sector by sector, energy, what's the state of our energy industry or sector, education. Free SHS is on board, but how is it improving lives? Well, what will be the assessment of it some 10 years to come? Healthcare, not too long ago, the City Breakfast Show had to discuss for like a 2-week period something really basic and really simple, in my opinion, the no-bed syndrome. People were going to hospitals, they couldn't get beds to lie on.
About Ghana, we'll never end.
Sector by sector, there's a lot more we have to do.
That we can
but
do.
Of course, in saying that, we also have to appreciate where we've come as a people.
I mean, I don't appreciate it all. I feel like we could do so much more.
I agree with you.
So much
agree
more.
with you.
If people would stop spending on unnecessary things, for want of a better word, V8s, etc. There's so much more that we can achieve as a country. If you have 2 million to spend on your parliamentary and your constituency elections, then there's something that can be done for the country.
I mean, I can't recall when Bernard asked an MP why they have to sit in the V8 flashy up and down using sirens. It's like, oh, we have to go to funerals. And you are wondering, is that really all there is to it? Incredible stuff. But let's still do on some politics, right? Graphic.com.gh is reporting that 6 names pop up as possible replacement for Napo on MPP Menchia South ticket. Story by Kwejo Balfour Donko. It goes on to say that some 6 names have popped up on the MPP radar, hoping to contest in the upcoming Menchia South by-election following the nomination of Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh as running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The date has not been set yet, but active campaigning is ongoing. The story goes on to name the brother of the energy minister and now running mate for the MPP, Nana Addo Prempeh, the biological brother, we believe, we understand, of Napo, who is also gunning to replace his senior brother. Interesting days yet. I mean, we saw by-elections recently in a
6 people.
Yeah.
So then I'm wondering.
Back to the question again. What at all is there? Actually, we should tell today's show what at all
is in Parliament.
I feel you.
What at all is in Parliament? 6 people already gunning for
he went unopposed, right?
Yes.
And following his nomination or his elevation as running mate, 6 other people are showing interest. So my question is, were these 6 people all along eyeing the team? Or
Maybe they were.
Calculating
Maybe they were. I wonder who Napo will endorse, though. Don't say his brother. It's the likely candidate that he probably will endorse. But I think maybe he should stay out of it and let things churn out.
He will most likely, because of his elevated position now, trying to preach unity and everything, probably stay away from endorsing anybody.
I think he should.
But behind the scenes, I don't see him going out for any other person
than
aside
his brother.
I mean, let's be real.
That would be weird. If it was anything else, it would be weird.
Let's be real here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out in the coming weeks, in the coming months. Any more stories from you?
Yes, there's a ChannelOne news. There's an opinion. Farewell, Professor Francis Nkrumah, and that is an opinion piece from Cameron Diodu. So Professor Nkrumah is the eldest son of the late president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who sadly passed away on June 30, 2024. He was 89 years of age. May his soul rest in peace. So it says that Professor Nkrumah was educated at St. Augustine's College in Cape Coast and then went to Germany to study medicine. He specialized in pediatrics and later he studied at the Children's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts in the USA. But back here in Ghana, He undertook a wide-ranging amount of medical tasks that took him to the very top of both medical practice and medical education. And asked to describe himself in an interview, he said simply, "I am a pediatrician and a public health specialist. I did my first degree in medicine in Berlin, Germany, where I graduated in '61. I subsequently did my postgraduate training in pediatrics at the Children's Hospital and at the Harvard School of Public Health, from where I graduated with a master's in public health before returning to Ghana to take up an appointment as a lecturer in pediatrics and child health at the University of Ghana." So, I mean it's just accolades, accomplishments. So go to ChannelOneNewsroom.com and read this opinion piece on the eldest son of the late, our very first president.
There's a book about being a president's daughter or being a president's child by, I think, Hillary Clinton, daughter of Bill and Hillary Clinton. I think that the Chelsea Clinton, rather.
Chelsea.
And I mean, of course, it comes with enormous pressure. During the recent Kenya protests, for example, when everybody was on the head chasing after Ruto, I mean, we saw tweets of his daughter Charlene also coming out, trying to portray herself as also a Gen Z, trying to calm both tempers on both sides and stuff like that. If for nothing at all, Hunter Biden has shown us how not to be a president's son.
They're putting their father through too much.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
For Onzi's case, I think he really held himself well, an accomplished professional in that regard, and really wish his soul a very peaceful rest. And to interest you in growing up, right, back in St. Teresa School, in the really early years being in the school, I think we had a relative, a grandchild of Dr. Sajefo Kwame Nkrumah in our school, and she was called Princess Nkrumah. And you should have seen the elegance and each time she was coming to school, it was like a big fanfare, like Princess Nkrumah, and she really exuded at the time, even though we were quite young, the whole presidential thing. And I mean, she will not complete the school, she will leave and go to another school, but it was really interesting to note in those days. But and some other story, this is of public interest, really, because BECE starts on Monday. 570,000 candidates to sit the examination. Do you remember your first paper?
Yes, English.
Do you remember your grade? Or you can't show on air?
Oh, I can show on air.
English,
me, I'm a smart. English. Oh, come on.
I'll let you have that.
I'll
let you have that. I'll let you have that.
I got a one in English. Come on. You better retract. Come on.
Home economics.
Pardon?
Do you do pre-tech or you did home economics?
No, neither. I did home econs.
You did home econs?
Home econs.
You remember your grade?
In home ec, no, actually I did pre-tech. Pre-tech is the one with the T-square and the thing. I didn't like that subject, honestly. If you're asking me, then it means that a grade. No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Anyway, all is set for the West African Examination Council to conduct this year's Basic Education Certificate Examination beginning Monday, July 8th. The government has released 55.9 million to WAEC for the conduct of the examination. In all, 570,461 candidates from BECE schools and private candidates will sit for the examination. In terms of the school candidates, 569,095 pupils made up of 282,648 males and 386,444 females will sit for the examination. It's quite some really interesting statistics, right?
This morning when I was coming, I mean, I think listening to our 6 a.m. news on radio, Philip, who read, said that last year they have prosecuted 2 children for
more
practice in the exam, and they have been fined anywhere between 1,000 to 5,200 Ghana cedis. And that's a bit sad for me that you would go to BECE and cheat. Is the BECE that difficult, or is it because I'm grown now? So looking back, I think if you study or if you're well prepared, the BECE shouldn't be something where you are thinking of cheating or exam malpractice in any way, but it doesn't seem that way. But before we go quickly though, I know you've heard about this, Chef Smith.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
Oh, come on.
Don't even get me started.
A bit of empathy
Don't
for the
even
guy.
get me
A
started.
bit of empathy. So graphiconline.com. Empathy.
Oh, please. He doesn't deserve any of it. I saw him crying.
He's apologizing.
You know the funny thing? Just before I saw the video of him crying, I seen an earlier one of him singing Defe Defe. And it was like, Moonjam. I was like, is this guy trolling Ghanaians or what is he up to? Then the next thing I scroll on my Twitter timeline, on my X timeline, I see a video of him apologizing with two other ladies beside him, I believe are family members. And I'm like, this guy, what kind of, the whole new term on the street?
Yes, here it is on Channel One. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Chef Smith apologizes to Ghanaians. Honestly, I saw the first one. And then I saw another video on another platform, like, okay, now you're overdoing it. Because you're crying on all the platforms.
He should do a communal labor job. We should get him to win.
I think he should be punished.
Because that's public. That's public deceit.
Public deceit. I think he should be punished because it will serve as a deterrent for anyone who
is planning on something safe. Because come think about when I first thought the story, to be fair, my original inclination is that ain't no way Guinness was going to certify this, because 800 hours of cooking. Do you know 800 hours of cooking? Why is it even going to get a foodstuffs?
A friend of mine on
in the
Facebook
time where we are buying tomatoes for how much, buying cooking oil for how much?
And it was all sponsored, and you brought such shame to the shopping center.
If I was a sponsor, I'm taking you to court. I'm not even going to think about it.
I'm sure they'll take that out because they signed.
Straight up.
They signed.
And you later come and stand in front of the camera and be
apologizing to Ghanaians that you should forgive him.
I think they should let him do some communal labor. They should let him weed and do some things before we'll be at peace with him. You can't come and mislead. Charlie, there are senior people in this country. Then you just take everybody for...
He takes us for a ride, and we all so believed him. Can you imagine? We all believed him, like... Because Ghana has gotten a Guinness World Record.
I don't even want to start. And at the end of this whole fanfare, and there's a serious problem in here. I think the whole way we made this cookathon, whatever-thon, like a national sort of, waving flags at, I think it was quite wrong,
you remember the chef in the
all of it,
came back and
so much that they were able to pull. Of course, politicians who want to take advantage of some of these things because at the end of the day, it's a popularity contest, right? But I was saying, see, we shouldn't allow this thing to become like some national frenzy where if somebody wants to do it for personal gain, then it's like everybody supporting them, waving flags and all of that. I think it was quite wrong, and I think this should serve as a lesson going forward. If somebody wants to embark on a personal thing, do it, right? Of course, you are Ghanaian, we recognize that. But don't make it look like it's some national event, rallying moment when we are still dealing with Galamsey.
Go on any of those websites, Channel One News, citynewsroom.com for more stories. And